take my mind, take my heart, take my soul. Just as long as you never let me go. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight while we do our testimonies. And I'll try my best. Ooh. Ooh, Lord. Like Pastor Andrea stated earlier, a lot of times when you get molested, it is by someone that you know. I was molested at a very young age by my uncle. And this is the uncle that came from Jamaica every year. Came and stayed at the house. Nothing ever happened until this one day. This one day my parents decided they're going to go out and have husband and wife time. And I thought nothing of it, because it's like every other night that they went out and left me with my uncle. Nothing ever happened. So I figured, why would you not be any different? But it was a different night. It was a night that changed my life. And it was a night that I never forgot. To God be the glory. As a child, we look to our adults for safety, for protection. And they tell us all the time, be careful on the street. Watch out for your neighbor. Watch out for your friends' friends. But they never told you, look inside. Look at your family. Look at your neighbor. I was dragged off my bed at 11:30 in the night. And not just a regular drag. It was a drag as if, you ever had that dream where you're falling and you cringe? It was a pull. And all I felt was flesh on top of me. He was naked. And I stood there and I looked at him as if like, what are you doing? And I'm like, get off me. And he covered my mouth. Mind you, while my sister laid in the bed. And after everything was done and said, I stood there balled up in a fetal position thinking, why me? What did I do? I was never a problem child. I was never a promiscuous child either. I was the biggest tomboy you ever met. But it still happened. But I set out the courage and I told him, I said, I'm going to tell my mom as soon as mom and dad get home. I'm telling. My uncle looked at me dead in my eye and I never forgot the word that man told me. He said, go ahead and tell them. But they won't believe a word you said because I'm the adult and you're just a child. And every child said the same thing. Oh, yes, my mama will believe me. Yes, daddy will. And when daddy gets home, oh, you're going to get it. And I tried to stay up that night until my parents got home. But it's a feeling inside of you when that happens to you that you get into this place, this very dark place. You start questioning yourself. And I fell asleep. Don't know for how long. But I kept in and out because I'm thinking if I fall asleep, my parents are not home yet. He might come back again. So I waited up and I finally fell asleep and I jumped up. It was 7 o'clock in the morning. And I ran to my parents' room to tell them what happened. But they had this look on their face as if I did something wrong. So I went and I told them what happened. And this man stood there and flipped the script. He wasn't the attacker. It became my cousin that was the attacker because I'm a tomboy. So most of my family were boys. He flipped it to where he was my rescuer. That he came to my aid and pulled him off of me. He was doing me a favor. And I looked at that man and I go, Uncle, why would you lie like that? But my parents had that look on their face. It was puzzling to me because I'm like, you're supposed to come to my rescue and you're supposed to jump up and tell them, no, I know my child. I know my child. But they didn't. They believed him. My auntie and my mom didn't speak because he put the blame on my cousin. And you know I was very close with my cousin. And when I refused to stop being with my cousin because when my parents are not home, I need somebody there at the house. He flipped it. From that day, it was a hole in that space. What did you do wrong? Maybe it was the clothes you had on. Maybe it's the way you walked past him. Maybe it's what you said. Well, maybe it is my fault because I have all these guy friends that are family members and I didn't do the girly thing. You start questioning yourself. Attitudes begin to change. You start becoming resentful. Change of clothes does come. I was covered up. You wouldn't see a leg to save your life. I wore baggy clothes. You didn't find me nothing tight, nothing that would give anybody another chance to say, okay, she asking for it. And it was a pain so deep because I felt that my parents should have backed me up. They should have said, no, even if I was lying, they should have backed me up. It took my auntie. God sent me an angel. It took my auntie from down the street. All I said was the first 2 words. Auntie, he did it. What my auntie did, my parents should have done. So when your child tells you something, listen to them. Because as parents, we always want to protect our children, tell them, oh, look out for Tom, look out for Dick, look out for Harry. You never tell them, look out for Uncle. I carried that burden with me for a long, long time. When I got married to my husband, I became real resentful. Sometimes the way he touched me would trigger a memory, and I would just bust into tears. And he never understood because I never told him. Because I felt if I told him, what would he want me? I'm no longer pure. I'm not clean. I'm dirty. Why would you want me? Somebody already been there. I'm not worthy. But sometimes God put you through some things just to have that one person say, okay, it happened. I can't change it. I wasn't there, but I'm going to love you anyhow. That was hard to accept. Because I still, when he tried to touch me a certain way, it would trigger a memory. If he would grab me, I would flinch, and I would look at him, and I would get real angry. And he would just look at me all puzzled, not knowing why was I acting. Sometimes I would cause an argument just for nothing, hoping that he would leave. Because that way I wouldn't have to explain nothing, and I wouldn't have to tell nobody my shame. It happened way, way back. I never ran into my uncle again. Never ran into him from that day. But I always had a pain that told me if I ever saw that man again, I would run him over with my car and I would not look back. But then I came to genuine love. And that young lady sitting over there named Prophetess said a word. As a matter of fact, Apostle said a word. I came up for healing. Thought I got over it. I thought I forgave and let it go. And then she came to me and she walked over and then she squeezed me. And I'm like, okay. And she said, you need to let it go. And I'm like, but I did. In my mind, I'm like, I did. I'm okay. And she kept squeezing. And I'm like, but I did. But I didn't. It took that day. That fateful day when Apostle spoke about who cares what they did to you. So what? You over here holding on to that and they don't even remember it. You over here losing sleep, you're being miserable, you're being unhappy, somebody's trying to love you, but you still holding on. What are you holding on to? They don't even know what they did, or if they do remember, they not worrying about you. Why are you still holding on? And that fateful day, she burst my bubble of hatred. She broke my bubble of shame. She broke the bubble that I was worthy enough to be loved. Mind you, I was with my husband since 9th grade. It took me about 6 years to tell him what happened. 6 years. Because of shame. Because of how he's going to look at me. And when I got pregnant with my daughter, I made myself a promise and I made God a promise. Now that I know what to look for, now that I know the signs and the symptoms, I make sure. I can't protect her all the time. But I know what to look out for. And I know she cut me and said, Mommy, this happened. I'm going to back her up. Because your children don't deserve to go through anything. No one deserves to go through anything like that. Because it breaks them. And they will walk in shame. lose self-esteem, thinking they're not worthy. But we are worthy. Because of what I went through, it made me a better person. It made me a stronger woman. And God blessed me enough to have a man by my side that said, despite what happened to you, I still love you. You're not damaged good. It happened and I can't change it, but I still love you. And I have a daughter that is 15 years old. And when I tell you, I will go back and forth for her. So protect your children the best way you can. Listen to them. And watch out. But we are not damaged goods. We are broken, but we are healed. And we are worthy of all the love that God has blessed us with. And when that right person comes along, he'll fill that void. To God be the glory.